Hey, 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 how's everybody doing? We are back with more of Industrial Strength Magic by Macronomicon, and we're going to be doing another reading, catching up to where we were before and continuing on in this fantastic journey as we try and check out what it's like to see how we're playing around with this. It's a little bit different than what I would normally do when I'm doing my prep because obviously I don't read my preps out loud. Though sometimes I do just to hear what a voice might sound like. But this is kind of a new experience in the same way as we're going to be kind of going through some of the characters, getting an idea of who they are, what they're like, and then casting them with some of the team from SPT as we move along. So when we left our intrepid hero, Perry, uh, he had a little bit of a problem um, with his magic. He's expected to have magical capabilities because he should inherit them from his parents, and he's not yet, and it's really frustrating for him. So he has a little bit of issues with that. And then he had a falling out with a childhood friend, and now they're being forced to work together on a project, which is basically uh, home ec with Jack Attack as your baby of choice. They have a plastic baby that basically explodes and shoots laser beams and catches on fire and all that stuff, which God help me, is so hilarious. It's awesome. So yeah, that's where we're going to continue on from here. And so we just finished having a little fight with Heather, who is our co-conspirator in this babysitting situation. And now we're going to head back home after this. Perry's about 17, which I would assume makes Heather about 17 too. And yeah, let's see what happens here as we go along. We're still in chapter 1, by the way. At home. Whoa, what happened to your room? Heather asked, scanning the clutter of torn apart computers, chemistry stations, bubbling vials, and tanks of weird fluids. Dad happened, Perry said with a shrug. The natural evolution of his desire to measure up to his parents. If he couldn't use magic, then maybe he could be a tinker. Sadly, while Perry could be considered gifted, he wasn't a tinker. A tinker could twist a bit of wire into a CPU. How? Fuck you, that's how. Tinker Twitch altered physics just enough to make their harebrained stuff work, even when it really shouldn't. Love that. Oh, that's awesome. How? Fuck you, that's how. Oh, so much attitude in this. This is great. Perry should probably make a supersuit, given several $1 million in funding and years of fabricating and assembling the parts. A tinker could make one out of a Buick in a week. Once that defied the laws of is this supposed to be once or once that defied the laws of physics with some kind of Buick ray that turned things into tiny Buicks. I think that's supposed to be one that defied the laws of physics. Yeah, with some kind of Buick ray that turned things into tiny Buicks. There was no comparison. Still, Perry did like the science, putting things together just so that's how we're doing. Putting things together just so gave him a visceral level of satisfaction. He might not have got the tinker twitch from his dad, but sorry. He might not have got the tinker twitch from his dad or the magic from his mom, but he enjoyed working with tech. Put the baby on the desk, Perry said, plopping down into his chair. What's this? Heather asked, tapping on Terry's tank. The octopus changed shape to hide inside his tank, much to Heather's delight. That's Terry, a magical octopus from my mom's homeworld, Perry said, eager to divert her attention away from his pet project. Also, don't tap on his tank. Sorry, geez, Heather said, putting the baby on the table. Okay, so homeworld implies that his mom is from... Is it... we never established this with Mac, and maybe we'll find out more as we move along. But is this Earth, or is it an Earth-like place, and then there's other alien planets or alternate dimensions, or both? So, yeah. Oh, Perry. Perry is a character. Macronomicon is in my Discord right now making comments, which I love. He says, we're on Earth. So we're on Earth, but his mom is an alien. I would take it from another world where octopus are there. And I don't know if they have different attributes than our octopus, but we'll find out. Or octopi, I should say. Okay, where are we? Heather's apologizing. Sorry, geez, Heather said, putting the baby on the table. Perry tore open the baby's stomach. Yee. Bypassed its security features with a plastic knife, then pulled it into his computer. Yeah, by the way, the baby is not real. So in case you're like, oh my God, Perry is mutilating that baby. No, it's one of those plastic dolls that you get with home ec. So yeah, don't be frightened. It's not that kind of story. It might be that. Well, no, I don't. Mac, would you go that dark? Maybe you would. I don't know. What are you doing? Heather asked. Cheating, Perry said with a shrug. I'm downloading the images from a few hundred other people who've done the project in our school, then using AI to do a face swap for the appropriate pictures. Well, if you're gonna cheat, make sure we get a believable score, she said, leaning over his shoulder. 87%? He asked, glancing up at her. Her hair tickled his cheek. Yeah, then we can beg and plead our way up to an A with one of your pre-canned essays as extra credit. He won't suspect we got a high B on purpose, Heather said. Sounds good, Perry said, typing a few parameters into the algorithm. And we've passed ethics class. Click. Perry hit the enter key and the program started. By cheating? Heather asked, raising an eyebrow. Yeah. For a moment, they stared at each other until they couldn't contain it any longer. The two of them devolved into gales of pure laughter as the baby lit itself on fire. When they finally calmed down, Heather wiped tears from her eyes and seemed to sober up, her gaze settling on the pristine heart-shaped bar of deodorant on his desk. Well, this has been fun, but I gotta go before you infect me with your brand of lame, Heather said, turning away. Say something, you idiot. Perry's heart began rattling around in its cage like a wild animal. Heather? Oh, his voice breaks. Heather? That much? I don't know. We'll find out. He asked, his voice breaking unintentionally. Yeah? Perry half expected her not to stay, and now that she was pointing those vibrant green eyes at him, he didn't have any smooth lines prepared. So he just went with the truth. I'm sorry. That time when we were 13, I was pissed at my life, and I took it out on you. I messed up. It's my fault. So apparently, clearly, that was the big thing that caused a rift in their relationship. Good to know. Heather's eyes narrowed for a moment. Then she disappeared, closing his door behind her. Jesus, Heather gasped as his heart tried to burst out of his chest. He was short of breath, like he'd just gone 10 rounds toe-to-toe with Brutus. Perry took a deep breath and tried to calm his heartbeat, but it didn't work. If anything, his heart started beating harder, booming in his ears like some kind of manic drummer. She's gone now. You can calm down, Perry thought, but his body had other plans. His body had other plans. His heart sped up further. His breathing coming quicker and quicker. His vision began to turn white as his body dumped unnecessary oxygen into his brain. His chest began to hurt and he collapsed into his bed. Is this a heart attack? Perry almost laughed at the idea of dying from teenage heartache and pinning it on Heather. But it was a lot less funny that, Let me try that line again. Perry almost laughed at the idea of dying from teenage heartache and pinning it on Heather, but it was a lot less funnier as it was happening. Right now, it just hurt. A lot. He tried to call for help, but his voice was gone, and his phone was across the room, which might as well be on the other side of the city. At least I got to apologize for being an ass before I died. That'll totally make her feel awful for not saying anything back. Ha! Take that, Heather. That's a little vindictive. Petty much? Petty much, Perry? Call you Petty Perry? Okay, now we have an AI in here. We'll find out if we have any personality to this AI. User has reached minimum acceptable maturity. Beginning boost process. Trimming casual branches of fuel system version 0 or 0.01. Trimming extreme sexual deviancy. Wow, okay. Trimming extreme violence to self. Trimming unresponsive branches. Trimming Claudette's hippie bullshit. Trimming Claudette's hippie bullshit. Error. Claudette's hippie bullshit running counter operations. Claudette's hippie bullshit has lodged itself in causal branch prime. Uh-oh. Claudette's hippie bullshit is going to be causing problems. Further attempts to trim Claudette's hippie bullshit will result in damage to user. Error. Damage to user runs counter to prime directive. Finding workaround. Diplomacy. XE. Is that how you say that? EXE? Diplomacy.exe. Engaged with Claudette's hippie bullshit. We'll have to make a note of that and double check. Initiating handshake. Coming to terms. Accommodating Claudette's hippie bullshit within the system. Resuming boot. Trimming complete. Building infrastructure to receive and process harvest causal energy. Designing class choices. Error. Due to Claudette's hippie bullshit not being trimmed, there is not enough harvested causal energy to grant level 1. Causal energy, has defaulted. Causal energy has defaulted into HP. Class selection placed on hold. Displaying status. Paradox Zauberer. Paradox Zauberer, that's his last name. Parisi. We'll have to get, is that a good pronunciation of that? We have to figure out a good pronunciation for Zauberer. Zauberer. Class none. Level 0. HP 1. Body 0. Stability 0. Nerve 0. Attunement 0. XP to next level 1000. Current quest. Do your homework. Reward 5 XP. Nice. So that is the end of chapter 1. And so apparently he couldn't get his system boot up or his abilities because he was too immature. And so when he finally apologized to Heather for being a douche canoe at 13, sorry, douche canoe, for being not so kind, he finally apologized, and that gave him enough maturity to access the system. But what is going on with Claudette's hippie bullshit? Who is Claudette? And why is her hippie bullshit infecting all of the system? This is going to be interesting. It flows better if you pronounce Z as za, as a, zaber. Okay, pronouncing the A as the U makes it difficult. Zaberer. Maybe Zauberer. Paradox Zauberer. Maybe. We'll figure it out. All the fun stuff that comes along with prepping. Okay. Next chapter. This chapter is called The Quest, which was to do his homework. Nice. So, Dad, Perry asked, lacing his fingers together over the breakfast table, how was your night? Dad was a hawk-nosed, slender man with a receding hairline and a goofy grin, belying his profession as Mom's arch nemesis. My parents are arch nemesis. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, so much fun. Okay, we're going to have to learn a bit more about Dad and his personality for his voice. But for now, we'll just kind of give him a generic dad voice. Nothing too out of the ordinary. Had a bit of difficulty sorting things out here in the middle, but it went pretty well, all things considered. Yeah, I saw the fight on the news, Perry said. You took down Blaze and Terramorph in a 2-on-1. Congratulations. For legal reasons, I cannot comment on that. The Mechanaut, is that how we're saying that? The Mechanaut said, taking a sip of his orange juice. How was your day? You know what I realized I'm not doing, and I probably should, is see who's commenting. So yeah, let's check that out. I would just spell that out, but that's just me. Hey, Camaro 76, and hi, Carrie, how you doing? Okay, so now that we have the hellos and highs and everything out of the way, if you are hanging out, if you are watching, feel free to ask questions about the script or make comments about stuff. We're just playing around in here to learn more about the story and kind of get it prepped up so that when we go to record this in the new year, uh, we have a really good working understanding. And then you guys get to see kind of how we play around with this stuff. It's not actually getting recorded at this time, which is what normally happens in the cold reads. But because we wanted to get this out and let you guys check it out as soon as possible, and due to scheduling, we're making sure that this one is coming out. I believe we're working on it in February. I'll have to double check the schedule, but yeah, that's kind of where we're looking at this one coming in. So we wanted to give you guys an opportunity to get excited about it a little bit early. So you're getting to be involved in this process. Fun and great for you, isn't it? Oh, Dad, what are you doing? Okay. Do 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 do. Um. Okay. For legal reasons, I cannot comment on that. The Mechanaut said, taking a sip of his orange juice. How was your day? 4 words, Perry said. Trimming. Claudettes. Hippie. Bullshit. There was only one person in the world who called Hexen Claudette and in the world who called Hexen Claudette, and Perry was glaring at him. Dad's eyes bulged, and he coughed out a spray of orange juice from his nose. Okay, so if I remember, am I remembering this correctly? Hexen is his mom? Mm, so yeah. That's interesting. Dad's eyes bulged, and he coughed out a spray of orange juice from his nose. Ouch. Really, Derry? Mom said, giving Dad a sour look. Dairy, sour, it's all the same. Dad a sour look. That was 10 years ago. Oh, that's probably her. It was 10 years ago. Are you the reason I can't use magic? Perry asked. So the system finally booted. That's great news. I thought you'd be mature a couple years earlier, but late bloomers are. Dad, are you the reason I can't use magic? Perry asked. Son, it was 10 years ago, and your mom was doing rituals that nearly killed you. Killed you. I got a bit emotional about it, and the tinker twitch took over. Your mom and I already worked through this, and you're not going to listen to me, are you? Probably not, Perry said, meeting the supervillain's gaze. Dad broke first. You know what? I'm just going to go finish breakfast in the lair, Dad said, picking up his plate. I'm really going to be fun getting to discover Dad's personality, because I think that he's going to be an interesting character. I want a divorce, Perry said. Not the mom. The mom's cool with it, but Perry's like, I want a divorce. Now, let's not be hasty, Mom said from the other side of the table. That's another person we're going to have to think about too, right? Mommy. Mommy. Your father and I didn't think it would be healthy for you to grow up in a broken home. I'm legally an adult already, and this is healthy? Perry shouted, pointing to where Mom was eating scrambled eggs and bacon in full hero kit, her face hidden behind a pointless domino mask. She was on call. Don't shout at your... that's the dad. Don't shout at your mother, Dad said. You promised to kill her entire family a week ago. That includes me. And you! This is such a messed up family. It's theater, Dad said, waving it off. 99% of the big leaguers are just putting on a show. It's true, Mom said. There was a release latch on the inside of the hat she caught me in last month. It had a cute little beetle on it. You know I love beetles. Oh, that's the dad. You know I love beetles. Dad leaned over and kissed Mom on the cheek. So you dicked around with my body without my consent? Perry said, glaring down at breakfast. And what have I got to show for it? Nothing. Well, it sounds bad when you say it like that. Show me your stats. Well, it sounds bad when you say it like that. Show me your stats. Excuse me, burpees for some reason. Dad said, sitting back down beside Mom. All these guys, this is so... Yes. I And I've never seen a system status swear. That's amusing. Um, yes, so the dad is a supervillain, the mom is a superhero, and they are arch nemesis, and he's caught in the middle. This is gonna be a fun one. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see these stats here. Where is that? I'm trying to find here. There it is. Okay. Perry wrote them down on a napkin and sent them over to Dad. Dad inhaled through his teeth as he poured through the line of zeros and one. Zeros and one? Yeah, I guess it was the one was the HP, right? Well, you have 1 HP. That's something. He glanced up at Mom. I guess it didn't trim very much. I told you he had a destiny. With a smug smile. I told you he had a destiny, Mom said with a smug smile. Yeah, well, your magical destiny nearly fried his brain, Dad said with the tired air of someone who'd rehashed the same argument a million times. Mom blew air past her lips, picking up another clump of eggs off her plate. All I have is 1 HP. I don't even know what HP does, Perry said, interrupting their squabble. Hit points, Dad said with a frown. I thought you played video games. But what does it do? Do I die when it hits zero? How much damage can it take? Do I have internal organs or am I just a big bag of hit points? And why only 1? Dad said, grabbing his pen. So here's how we learn more about the system. Yay! Well, originally hit points were used to describe how many hits from a cannon a ship could take before sinking. He started doodling a ship. A lot like the game Battleship, bigger ships had more hit points. So when I was working on your system, I designed each hit point to absorb anything from the force of a boxer's punch all the way up to a 40-centimeter cannon. Wow, that's big. The hit points work as a shield, so if you hit 0, you won't die instantly. You'll just be out of absorption. And if you take another hit, he gave a raspberry and made an exploding motion. I think that's the way that's supposed to go. Those are called automatopoeias, and some of them can be fun, and others can be the bane of a narrator's existence. LOL, I'm going to grab this. Is the book released yet? It's not released on Kindle, but it is available on Royal Road. So if you want to check it out early, you are totally welcome to go read it there. And definitely put in some thumbs up for Macronomicon because, I mean, these authors, they work really hard and they need your support by any means necessary. So yeah, no, totally go check it out because it's going to be awesome. And I cannot wait for the audiobook because with Sound Booth Theater producing this one, it's going to be cake. So I can take 1 hit from almost anything, then I'm totally vulnerable? That's my power? Exactly. That's dumb. They come back while you sleep, his dad said, sounding offended. No repair, no recharge cost other than a good night's rest. That is design elegance right there. Fine. What was that about trimming causality? Perry asked. Well, you said you really wanted to be in a video game. You asked me that question when I was 8, Perry said. Right. Anyway, I need to find a way to make XP a real thing, Dad said, making quotation marks. So I came up with causal trimming. Which is? Okay, so imagine every action you could possibly take. You go any direction and do anything within your capacity. Uh-huh, Perry said. So there are an infinite number of no, I can't say this word for apparently reasons. There are an infinite number of possible actions, and among those actions are a tiny fraction that are extremely self-harming, or simply where you don't do anything at all ever again. Stuff you would never ever decide to do. Okay, so there is still a possibility you could do them. The system erases possible branches that will never come to pass. It takes those potential futures and renders them into energy, which is then relabeled XP. So, how does doing my homework raise my XP? Perry asked. Well, look at it this way. The infinite number of possibilities available to you would be slightly greater if you had a firm grasp of your schooling and weren't grounded for not doing it. So the amount of infinite possibilities available to you, oh, this is still him, sorry. So the amount of infinite possibilities available to you ever so slightly expands when you do things that benefit or enrich you, including your homework. That expansion into new and exciting possibilities includes dead ends, which are trimmed for XP. I don't get it. Dad sat back in his chair, twiddling his thumbs as he tried to come up with a better explanation. Okay, let's do some hypotheticals. Say you get a pet, say you pet a stray dog and get 1 XP. That's because there's a very small fraction of potential futures where being on that dog's good side will benefit you. What about the dead ends? Forget about the dead ends. They exist in every branch. It's constant, so we can ignore it. It was kind of creepy to imagine there were constant parallel dimensions where Perry started hurting himself for no reason at all. Okay, then let's say you save the president and gain 10,000 XP. Why would you get so much XP for getting so much more XP than for getting the dog? For petting the dog, sorry. Dad asked. Because having an in with the president would expand my infinite possibilities a lot more than the dog, Perry said. And more infinite possibilities means more branches that can be trimmed without causing damage to your prime branch, and therefore more energy to fuel your system, Dad finished. That, in a nutshell, is how my XP system works. Pretty cool, right? Okay, that is very cool. Very nice. I like that. Um, I'd have to do my homework 200 times to level up, Perry said. That's going to take all year. You want to level up faster? Do something amazing, Dad said with a shrug, finally taking his breakfast over to the broom closet. The broom closet? He locked himself in, and there was a faint hydraulic whine as the elevator descended into Mechanaut's lair. Nice. His lair's in the broom closet. Oh, so much fun. La la la, lair. Okay. But be safe about it, sweetheart, Mom said, kissing him on the forehead. Her communicator was blinking red. A moment later, she stepped out of the door, and gale-forced winds wrapped around her and lifted her up off the ground, launching her into the sky. And just like that, Perry was alone with his thoughts, and the entire weekend to stew on them. Something amazing, huh? Perry went to his room and opened the forbidden closet. Ooh, a forbidden closet. There, at the bottom of the closet, under a layer of clothes and dust, was his huge tube of failed magical experiments from ages 10 to 13 by Menon. He glanced over at Terry, floating serenely in his tank. Terry the turtle. No, Terry the octopus. Sorry. Terry the octopus. We got some work to do, Terry. But first, homework. Quest complete. Do your homework. 5 XP. Current quest. Make the laws of physics and magic your bitch. Nice. Make them your bitch. Reward, 1,000 XP. Class selection. Class selection. Growing human brain cells on a microchip was insanely difficult. They required an incredibly precise environment, and even then, they tended not to live very long. But the nerve cells contained in Terry's subbrains were incredibly resilient, allowing someone with limited resources and relative inexperience to grow them almost as easily as algae. Mom and Dad thought nothing of Harry's pet, but he was the key to getting what he been. Why are we? Mom and Dad thought nothing of Harry's pet, but he was the key to getting what he'd been aiming at relentlessly for the last 8 years. Like I would ever quit trying to do magic. You are too naive, father of mine. Oh. Perry had 3 microchips, each of which weren't nearly micro because of the plastic causing the casing with temperature, moisture, and nutrient cooling, keeping Terry's brain cells alive. The octopus hadn't liked getting jabbed with a needle, but it had taken an entire herring, but it had taken an entire herring in exchange for some brain cells it could regenerate anyway. So both parties felt like they were getting the better end of the deal. Negotiating with your sentient, I assume he's sentient octopus, or sentient. You guys say sentient, I suppose. Now that Perry had mastered keeping Terry's brain cells alive on a microchip indefinitely, all he had to do was teach them how to cast spells. We'll work on that. Perry chuckled evilly, rubbing his hands together as he booted up the training program, which taught each of the 3 biochips to do specific series of actions in exchange for a tiny little dopamine hit. He felt like Dracula, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling for hours before he was finally able to sleep, just staring at the blinking lights on his desk. The next morning, Perry unplugged the chips from the training program and gave them 4 hours to sleep. He nearly couldn't stop himself from plugging them into the test spells as he paced back and forth in his room for nearly 2 hours before he finally managed to distract himself with a book. Ring! The 4-hour timer went off, and Perry leaped out of bed, dragging out the spell frame prototype from under the desk. The spell frame, in this case, was a modified sieve with an electric motor, speaker, and a powerful full-spectrum light bulb. Simple stuff. Inside the sieve was perfect 3-to-1 mixture of unicorn crap and glowstone. Oh, we got the unicorn crap back. All right, Perry said, plugging the spell frame into the output for the grow chip. Moment of truth. He plugged the chip into his computer, then ran the program. Grow.exe. Kobarath. Oh, wait. This is a tiny little voice. Kobarath. A tiny voice. Oh, maybe it's a tinny voice. Yeah, that's a tinny voice. So it's more Kobarath. A tinny voice came over the speakers as the electric motor on the sieve began stirring the dust, mixing it up and allowing the dust to fall through the colander directly past the powerful 300-watt bulb, which shone like the sun. Literally. The dust collected in the pan underneath the bulb, where a tiny syringe, oh man, that would be really crazy if it shone like the sun, literally. That's intense. Where a tiny syringe grabbed a bit of the dust and, with a tiny little puff, blew a minuscule amount of the glowing golden mixture over a pot with a bit of clover in it. Perry stared, his heart pounding in his ears. The clump of clover started growing, filling the pot, the stems thickening as it gained no less than 3 inches of height in a handful of seconds. Yes! In the small hours before he absolutely had to go to bed before school, Perry felt like he'd just landed on the moon. Quest complete. Make the laws of physics and magic your bitch. 1000 XP. Class selection. Congratulations, you have reached level 1. Please choose a class. Come on, mage, wizard, anything. Come on. Perry waited with bated breath as the class choices began to roll in. Tinker. Space Tinker, Industrial Tinker, Geo Tinker, Garage Tinker, Bio Tinker, Ray Tinker, Submersible Tinker. Perry's eyes widened in horror as a list of nothing but Tinker variants paraded past his vision in a blur of motion. Oh, come on, Dad! Awesome. That is chapter 2, and I think that's about our time. We're trying to get in about 30 minutes here. And yeah, I think we made it. Yay. This is dude, this is such an awesome story. I'm having so much fun with this. It's fantastic. Thank you, Macronomicon, for 1, writing this story, and for 2, letting me be a part of the project, and 3, letting us do this live and play around with it for a little bit. It's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait for this to all be going through. Oh, so good. All right. So thanks for hanging out with me. If you are interested in this story and you want to check out more before we get the audiobook going, definitely go to Royal Road and check it out. It's there, royalroad.com. It's called Industrial Strength Magic by Macronomicon. Go subscribe to this channel if you want to get notified about when we're going to be doing this. We're going to be, for the next little while, doing every weekday about 30 minutes of reading the story for a little bit, so that we can get a good gauge of what's going on. So if you want to be notified and hang out live with us, then yeah, click that subscribe and the notification button so that you can get that happening for yourself. Make sure you're following Soundbooth Theater and checking out all the stuff that they have going on. This program will also be available on their platform, which if you go to the App Store and click on or type in Soundbooth Theater, should come up and you'll be able to get their app, which has not only this, but many other cold reads done by Jeff Hayes and Zachary Johnson and a lot of their other narrators, as well as a big selection of audiobooks that they have produced, not only for straight audio, but some audio dramas with full effects and sound. And I mean, if you don't know what Soundbooth Theater does with audiobooks, then you are missing out. So go check that out. And then if you want to hang out with me a little bit more, there's a link in the description below that has Macronomicon's Patreon, Soundbooth Theater's Discord, and then my Discord as well, where I live stream my recording sessions when I'm working on books. I'm completing, finally, I'm sure I can do it because we only have one chapter left. I'm completing the last chapter of book 1 for another Macronomicon series called Wake of the Ravager. The book is called The Problem with Princesses, and it is fantastic. I am a huge fan of Mac. And then we're going to be starting a brand new book, recording a brand new book this afternoon, which is called The Dungeon of Pride. It is book 3 in the 7 Deadly Demons series by Drake O'Keefe. So we'll be working on that this afternoon. So you're welcome to come and hang out and listen to a little bit more of me doing this kind of stuff. So till then, check you later. We'll see you Monday and continue on with this awesome book. Have a great day.